Okay, well, it's my pleasure to introduce our final keynote for the event, and I'm going to be doing that in just a second. Before I do, let me remind you of a couple of little things. Don't touch that, first of all. That's important. These are your glasses. You wear bifocals, and they have tortoise shell on the side. I got those up here. These look like they, I don't know if these suit me. They're a little small, although it does help with the lights. So if those are yours, come on up and get them. Also, we have this Padfolio. So if you work for the NSA or the CIA, I now know all of your plans. So you can expect me. All right. Of course, hopefully you all have door prize tickets at this point. If you don't, we'll get you one before we're done. If you want a door prize ticket, you got to hand in one of our pink cards or our conference evaluation form. The pink card's a great way to let all the people up there in Tallahassee who are making all those policies that affect your life, it's a good way to let them know what you think. We put together all of your questions and hand them off to the state agencies, and we get their answers back, and we put them into our question and answers book, which comes out every November. And of course, the conference evaluation is how we know what you thought about what we did here at the annual Family Cafe, and we really rely heavily on the feedback we get from you guys to try and make it better each year and make sure that we're keeping up with the topics and trends and issues that you want to see addressed. Okay, Lori, why are you interrupting me? Come on now. All right, so it's my pleasure to welcome up to the stage Zach Anner. I'll tell you a little bit about Zach. First of all, he's an individual with cerebral palsy, but he's also, more importantly, a comedian and a television host. He was the winner of Oprah Winfrey's Your Own Show, Search for the Next TV Star. So he won that, which was a national competition. He went on to host a show called Rollin with Zach, which aired on Oprah's network, the OWN network, and received the Barbara Jordan Media Award for Entertainment in 2012. He started his own entertainment company and has produced and hosted the internet-powered travel show Riding Shotgun with Zach Anner and the upbeat comedic workout series Workout Wednesdays. You may have seen Zach featured in the media all over the place: New York Times, Newsweek, Austin Monthly, and New Mobility. He's been interviewed by ABC, Fox News, and CNN. So, Zach is definitely going to be entertaining for us this morning, probably more entertaining than I will be, certainly more entertaining than Lori. So with that, it's my pleasure to welcome to the stage Zach Anner. Let's give him a hand.
Hey, hold on, I'm going to get a strawberry milkshake real quick. Oh, is this just a set? Alright. Okay, well, as he just said, my name is Zach, and for those of you who don't know, and I'm assuming most of you don't know, I hosted a show on the Oprah Winfrey Network, which is where you may all know me from. I'm happy to be back in Orlando. This is where I had my first job at Disney World. Basically what I did is I told everybody to get out of the park and have a magical day at the end of the day. So, I'm going to be telling you my story, and before we get started, why don't we show the trailer to Rollin with Zach, because that might be where y'all know me from. So, let's just roll the tape. I can sit here all day. It's what I do. Hi. I can just explain it as well. So how are you guys doing? I'm upset with Trev. And thanks to a local perspective and kind of get an insider's view of things. Can you guess where we are? I want to break it! I want to break it!
Vegas, and no one talks about what happened in Vegas when they go to Vegas. What?
I run exclusively on sugar. We're making it mocha now, baby. Mocha now, baby. Oh. Piggy's got the jelly bean. That's me. For a guy who has cerebral palsy, I never thought I'd be doing this. Whoa. I'm going up that. This whetstone is not working. Look up! No sense of balance or direction. You really just have to have a good attitude. No. Sorry. Here, I'll buckle up.
They're getting serious.
Challenge yourself, and you can accomplish great things. I didn't know that I could do something like this. My own show, and many people that look at that might see that as the story of a triumph over disability. But to me, it's something a lot different than that. It's just somebody who worked his whole life to become a filmmaker and a comedian, and this is an example of following your dreams. So today I'm going to talk about how you can get your dream job and how I got mine. And so what I want to tell you is I competed on a reality show called Your Own Show. And during that process, when it got down to the final three, all of the three final contestants were interviewed by Oprah. And I just wanted to show you guys a clip of how that went and talk about how that affected my life. So let's roll the next clip. Today is all about doing a press junket. And I get done with my 2 interviews, and they come in, and they say, there's one more interview. Hello!
Hello!
How are you?
Fancy meeting you here.
I was expecting you.
How are you doing?
Good! I'm great. How are you?
I'm really good.
In that moment, I'm not thinking about competition or strategy. I'm thinking Oprah Winfrey is sitting across from me. And how can I make the best of this amazing situation?
So, first of all, it's a grueling thing to do a show. What made you want to even take this on?
I thought it could really help a lot of people. You know, and I thought this is a way for me to give a voice to a population that really hasn't had one, I don't think.
What has been the most challenging for you, Zach?
I think my own sort of demons of figuring out, you know, that I'm worth this experience, because it's hard for me to kind of accept that I might deserve this.
Yeah, you know, this coming to terms with your own self-worth is a lifelong journey.
Yeah.
So, how old were you when you figured out that you were different than the other kids?
I knew that I had a wheelchair, obviously.
Yeah.
They didn't shield that from me. But other than that, it was just my life. And then I learned, you know, if I make a joke about this, then it puts people at ease.
Yeah. What do you think is the biggest misconception about people with disabilities?
That they are helpless and that their personalities are defined by their disabilities. You know, because I am so many things before I am a person in a wheelchair. Get to know the person, the chair is incidental.
I love that. Bravo.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. Thanks for your time.
Thank you. I have so many questions for you.
Okay.
What has been the moment where you felt the most pressure to be Oprah?
Well, I think the most pressure to be Oprah is actually in creating this network. And that's a beautiful question, I have to tell you, because I think the world expects this network to immediately be what the Oprah show has been. And it has taken me 25 years to create the Oprah show.
And it is a lot of pressure too. It's years of work.
Yes.
If you weren't Oprah Winfrey, the brand, the person that everybody knows, what would be the first thing you want people to know about yourself?
Also, excellent question. At my heart, I am a teacher. And that's really the purpose of this network, is to be able to use it as a tool for teaching and inspiring and giving people back to themselves so that people can see the best of themselves.
It's incredible. Thank you so much for answering my question.
Thank you for this interview. It's been great.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much.
Just appreciate it. I thought, if I can interview Oprah and feel comfortable, maybe this is something I should be doing with my life for sure.
Zach, how did the press junket go for you?
I was a little nervous at Entertainment Tonight, but by the time we got to Oprah, I was golden. It was just a really awesome day.
Zach did something, guys, that no one else did. I was very surprised because the interview had wrapped up.
Right.
And Zach said, I have some questions for you, Oprah.
I just thought, this is a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity. I should probably seize the moment.
Yeah, and you did.
How did it go? Did it go well?
It went really well. You know, I think she has a career in television. So if I seem pretty comfortable in that scenario, it's because I was. And as one of the things they don't show in that clip, as the interview was wrapping up, I wished Oprah luck with her new network, and she said, I don't believe in luck. I believe in preparation for seizing your moment. And that really stuck with me, because when I thought back on it, I realized that every hardship that I've faced and all the success that I've had has just been a continuous preparation for whatever's next. But in order to understand that, we need to start at the beginning. I was born on November 17, 1984 at 3 pounds, 7 ounces. And nobody in my family really knew at the time that I would have cerebral palsy. And nobody kind of got a sense of what that meant, except that my motor skills were a little wacky, but thankfully my mind was just fine and dandy. And I basically flourished in elementary school, and because I was mainstreamed, I was able to make friends based on common interests and not common ailments. So I was always very creative, and I wrote my first play in 5th grade. It was a masterpiece called Twinkie Lover's Blood about vampires. Pre-Twilight, by the way. They stole that from me. I'm suing them. Can't talk about it right now. But you know, I always grew up with very creative parents. My mother was a playwright, and my dad was a videographer. So you know, I had a lot of enriching experiences outside of school, and both of my parents enjoyed traveling. So in 2000, I went to Rome, Italy with my dad for the first time, and just going through the cobblestone streets. Rome, believe it or not, as an ancient you know, city, is not the most handicap accessible. Like the Colosseum, no ramps or elevators. What's the deal? Somebody get on that. Somebody at this conference can probably take care of that. But you know, when I realized that a lot of those experiences are what teach you how to live in the world. You know, not being able to get into a single hotel in Pompeii and having to go to the next city. That was kind of the inspiration for perhaps doing a travel show. And you know, everything went pretty well for me until high school, when just growing up and hormones and different things going on with my body, I became very sick, and I had to drop out of school. And you know, we were trying to make it work for months and months, and I was just so sick and it wasn't working. It was a great example of when you're banging your head up against a wall and you can't seem to take the path that everyone else is taking, maybe you should just go around it. And so I got hooked up with an organization called Catholic Charities, and I got my GED. And during this time, when I was so sick that I couldn't go to school, what I did was I wrote my first screenplay. So instead of going crazy and just, you know, playing board games with myself, I had to find a creative outlet. And you know, so with my GED, I used that to go to college. And when I was 20, I had my first job. I came here to something called the Disney College Program. Is anybody familiar with that? Okay, so I told you a little bit about that, but it was the first time I was ever away from home, and it taught me important life skills like doing laundry. It was my first real world experience, except instead of all the partying and college and all the trouble that you get into, it was Mickey Mouse and Cinderella. It wasn't really the most accurate representation of what the real world is like, but I got the gist of it. And from that, in 2005, I always knew that I wanted to come to the University of Texas at Austin, because my dad had taken us to something called the South by Southwest Film and Music Festival. And in that time, I went to a place called the Alamo Draft House, which is a movie theater where you can eat food and watch movies at the same time, like Santa Claus versus the Martians. And so I knew that this was the place for me. And I applied. I only applied to one college, and luckily I got in. And when we first arrived in Austin in January of 2005, the first people that I was acquainted with, because we arrived very late at night, were all of the homeless people. And it was a little scary to start with, and then when I got to my dormitory, the first day for orientation, I went to go downstairs and the elevator was broken. So I was stuck in Austin, and within a day, my mom, being a great mother and you know, like being a go-getter, she was able to find me housing on campus within a day. And I had gone to orientation, and everything was just so wonderful and welcoming that I knew that I had to be there. And it was very important to me that I don't just take classes and get the degree, that I really become involved in extracurricular activities, because I wanted to do filmmaking. And believe it or not, a film degree, I don't know how many of you are in film school right now, but nobody will ever look at your degree. I'm sorry, I bet there's a lot of people out there paying a lot of money for degrees, but if you're in filmmaking, then, you know, Steven Spielberg doesn't look and say, oh, I see you have a master's of film. So what I did was I went to the student television station called TSTV, and I went to their general meeting after somebody had announced it in a class, and I just went there and I made a few dirty jokes, which I won't repeat here because this is a family event. And a guy named Mark Dennis thought it would be really cool if I did a show on the student television station. And so what I want to show next is the first interview I ever did for the show called That's Awesome. And it's with Dennis Quaid. So I'm also part of a comedy program called That's Awesome. And you know, being in a wheelchair, I don't get a lot of acting opportunities, right? And I was wondering if you would like to play a game I call British middle-aged couple in crisis.
Alright, go ahead.
Okay.
Are you going to be the daddy of the mommy?
Okay. Well, what would you like to be? Because you can choose a sex.
I always like to be the mom.
You'd like to be the mom. So I'm going to come home and you've got a bunch of new furniture. And it's like, what have you done with our money? Dear, what's all this new couch?
Well, we needed a new settee, dear.
Dear, we can't be wasting money like this. We've got 2 children in university. What are you pissing away our money for?
Well, we have to keep up appearances, love.
We can't keep up appearances with you drinking all the time.
Well, I have a lot of pressure on me.
A lot of pressure.
This is my way of relaxing. I never complain about anything that you do, ever.
Oh my God, I can't believe I'm married to you. Why don't you just go drown yourself in vodka?
Why don't you go f*** yourself then?
So that was my first interview, and what that taught me is that I might have a unique tool to be able to get people to do and say things that they would never normally say. Because I realized from doing that I can disarm people. And when I go up and talk to them, that they don't know what to expect from a guy in a wheelchair who's pretending to have a British accent. And I thought, well, maybe this is something, maybe I can make a career of this. And so we did that show for 2 years on public access. And, you know, I got this sort of reputation as the guy who was able to get away with saying anything. And I was so focused on wanting to be the opposite of what people's stereotypes of people with disabilities were, that I wasn't really focused on what I really wanted to be. And it was fun for a while, but it's also dangerous if you're living your life as a reaction to what you think other people are thinking about you. Then you're not really expressing who you are. So after doing that show, I really wanted to do something that was a little more meaningful and not just, you know, jokes and getting a rise out of people. So I was given that opportunity when I was asked to be a producer and take part in a documentary called Forgotten Lives, which is about Texas state schools or institutions. And now, at the time, Texas had more state institutions than any other state, and they were all in a state of disrepair, and they weren't providing services to people with disabilities the way that they should be. And all of the money that was provided by the state was going to fund these institutions rather than work on integrating people with disabilities into society. And so this documentary was a very important tool to sort of get the word out and say people want services so that they can live out in the community. And I had never really taken on an advocacy role before, and I didn't understand, you know, just how important it was. And then one day, I had been out to the institution to interview the parents of some children that were kept there, and a very strong advocate for the institutions. And I had gone out and I'd interviewed her, and we talked a lot about it, and I still didn't really understand why a parent would keep their child there. But then on the way home that night, it was a Saturday night in Austin, and I was on the street, and this woman who was obviously intoxicated came up to me, and she had no idea where I had been that day, and she just said to me, "You look crazy, go back to the institution." And she spit in my face. And what I learned from that is that the parents that had their children in institutions were trying to protect them from that kind of interaction. But what they didn't understand is that for every one of those horrible interactions that you have a 1,000 beautiful ones. And if I had been put in an institution when I was younger, I wouldn't have been able to discover what I was truly passionate about and have the meaningful friendships that I had. And I understand that it's always a risk that you're going to meet people who are pretty big jerks sometimes. But it is always worth it to go out and explore the world. And so to me that was a really important lesson, because at least I understood it, and I understood the reason why I had chosen to take the path that I did. And after Forgotten Lives went and showed at a bunch of colleges and it made its difference, I really wanted to do something that was just fun with my friends again. And so we thought, well, what can we make that is going to be something that's just really funny? So we decided to make a mockumentary web series called The Wingmen, which is about, well, if I was going to describe it, it would be about 4 complete losers who host a dating advice radio show, but they never go on dates. And they're taken off the air and fined by the FCC because they say some horrible things. And then what they decide to do to raise the money for the fine is start a dating service where they go on all the dates themselves. And one of the things that I'm really proud of about that show is that my friends and I just completely forgot to mention the whole first episode. We didn't even say anything about the wheelchair. Because normally when people like see a wheelchair, they want you to mention it or make jokes about it. And it was something that wasn't even on our minds, because that wasn't, you know, where the character was at that point. So I want to show you a little clip from The Wingmen, and what's going on here is I'm handing out flyers for this fake dating service to real people on the streets of Austin. And we just sort of filmed it and put it together. So we're the B unit today, and I am the dating service robot, and I'm going to be handing out these flyers as a robot to prospective clients, the lowest of the low. Pretty ladies like yourselves need love, and if you do, then there is this dating service, The Wingmen, which you should do.
Well, thank you.
Are you single?
No.
It's not cheating if you make love with a robot. Lots more probes to you.
You know what they curly-haired men, or gay men, or men in wheelchairs?
Definitely men in wheelchairs.
Really? Hi.
In order to play a robot, you have to put more heart into that than, you know, you would if you were playing the Pope.
Do you need anything? She just smiles and walks away. Like robots don't need love. Like I don't have a heart underneath this giant remote. Thanks, Will Robinson. Thanks. Why are you walking away when I offer you free love for $200? So if you do that, call them behind the answer. Alright?
So check this out. 3 flyers left. That's because I know what I'm doing. I'm a good robot. That's right. 3 flyers.
I'm gonna get rid of all of them.
Hello. That's 3 flyers.
Thanks. This one actually doesn't even have anything on it. This is not the most effective. What are you doing out there?
They need service robots. You need anything?
I don't know. Maybe you could program something in there for Katie getting some sweet action.
Yeah.
Volume up.
Yeah.
Maybe I'll use your service.
Why?
I actually do PR. I gotta tell you, I don't know if this comes across as like something I want to sign up for as a girl. Like, did you come up with this, or?
I was kind of forced into it.
That's good. More on this leg. More on this leg.
You're being such a little bitch about this.
I'm pretty interested in this, oddly enough.
Yeah, all the flyers.
Can I like call this and maybe we can meet sometime so I can get a hold of y'all and try to maybe help you
Help us with
with coming up with ideas?
oh, well, you could, yeah. I don't know if you've ever been to Olive Garden, but sometimes I have business meetings there.
No, I love soup or salad. You call me.
I'll call you, and we'll go to Olive Garden and we'll discuss business ideas among other things.
Well, I'm glad we're keeping it strictly business then.
Strictly business.
Strictly business. Well, it's very nice to meet you, Mr. Robot, and don't forget to call me.
Okay, I won't. Yeah. Bye. Don Juan Roboto.
So that show was a lot of fun, and you know, that was sort of my first taste of what fame might be like, because it got the attention of Fox Television, and we went through the whole process of, you know, making a trailer and a pilot pitch for them. And it also taught me that things in the entertainment industry fall through all the time. And that when you're making something, the most important thing to do is to be proud of it and make something that you're really passionate about. And that's what I did. And, you know, like, that process was sort of like a preparation for the next thing in my life, which was in 2010, my mom called me and said, I was just watching Oprah today, and she started this contest, and she's giving away a show on her new network, and I totally think that you should do the travel show, because I had been working on a treatment for a travel show that past year, and that year was the year that we decided, okay, we're going to fund this thing, no matter what. And we're going to find a way to shoot it this summer. And then this Oprah opportunity came up, and I knew exactly what the show would be. And I didn't have any idea when I made my audition video whether anybody would see it or not, but I finally just got a bunch of wigs together and put up this video, and what happened next was pretty cool. So let's just play the audition. met at Janine's party once and really hit it off, but I think we should get to know each other a little bit better. And I heard Oprah was giving away a show to somebody that really, really wanted it and had something to say. And I've got a lot to say, but I didn't know exactly where I would fit because I have something called cerebral palsy, which I believe is the sexiest of the palsies, but it does sort of limit where my strengths are. I tried the cooking show, and normally when I cook, I set my pants on fire, and this didn't go any better. The next thing we're going to learn how to cook is takeout. The healthy well-being, the yoga was interesting. This isn't yoga, I'm just putting on pants. American doesn't want to see this. Fashion, I felt I was really good at. You know, like I could do a lot of that, but I don't know how the rest of the world would feel. I decided that what I really want to do is make a travel show for people who never thought they could travel and inspire people to go on an adventure, you know? Because I feel like so many travel shows are about how to plan the perfect vacation, you know? Oh, go to the perfect restaurant. Oh, hey, Bono, how's it going? I didn't expect to see you here. But my travel show would be about how to have the perfect vacation when things don't go as planned at all. Oh, no, all our stuff was stolen. Oh, we've got to figure out a way to climb up the mountain, you know? And this would be something to prove to people that no obstacle is too big, no mountain is too high, no volcano is too high, and no Atlantis is too underwater or fictional. We're just going to go on the craziest adventures we can, and whatever we encounter, we're going to have a great time. Because my mom always said, when life gives you a wheelchair, make lemonade. I don't know what she meant, but I'm going to take her advice. And so if you're ready, America, let's go on an adventure together. All right, I'm ready. Perfect. Let's go. Yeah, so if I had known that millions of people were going to see that, I may have not chosen to be in my underwear. Let's be honest, it totally would have. America needs to see that. As it turned out, you know, I thought that just my mom and maybe some girls would see that. But millions of people did actually see it. And because of that video, what I was able to do is have a chance to pitch that show to Mark Burnett and to Oprah. And I went into that room in Los Angeles with a bunch of producers, and I pitched the travel show based on that experience that I had in Rome with my dad of trying to get on trains and trying to find accessible hotels. And from that experience, I was able to make a pretty convincing pitch. And I knew exactly what my strengths were, and I knew what my weaknesses were, and I acknowledged both of them. And from that, I was able to win a show. That lasted for about 6 episodes, which isn't very long, but in that time, I was able to get the message out there. And after the show ended, I was like, well, this was a great sort of way to get the foot in the door, but the idea of making a travel show where you embrace everything that goes wrong was still sort of up for grabs. That show hadn't been made yet. And so in the summer of 2012, my buddy Alexis Ohanian, who co-founded a site called Reddit, asked if I would want to make a travel show with Reddit. And so what we did was we came up with a show called Riding Shotgun, which is an internet-powered travel show. So we basically ask the internet, where do you want us to go on this conference? Pick 8 cities and we'll go there. And not only that, but we'll hang out with you. And we'll do what you want to do in your city. And we did that and we didn't get murdered. So, I mean, that's a pretty big plus. To just meet up with random strangers from the internet and none of them were weird. And I want to show you guys a complete episode of Riding Shotgun. Because to me, that show in particular is not about disability at all. It's about friendship. And hopefully you guys enjoy it. This was something that we filmed in Blacksburg, Virginia.
It's Riding Shotgun!
Today's episode is going to be a little bit different. We're going to Blacksburg, and Reddit told us that we needed to go to this place called the Cascades, which is great, except that the Cascades is a waterfall deep in the wilderness. And I technically shouldn't be able to go there, but we're going to try because Reddit told us to. And you're not going to hear a lot from me or see me a lot. I just kind of want to let this experience speak for itself, because what happens here is exactly why I wanted to do a travel show in the first place. So I hope you guys enjoy it.
So we're going to a waterfall in or around Blacksburg, and it's about a 2-mile hike, and I called the people and they said that it is not wheelchair friendly in any way. So my solution is to carry that on an army stretcher for 2 miles.
So just any other ones out front?
I feel like this is one of those ideas where if it works, it'll be a great example of ingenuity and how awesome my friends are. And if it doesn't work, it will be a great example of just the negligence and horrible ideas we have.
The night before a big trek like this, you need food that's going to give you energy. And nothing says nourishment like a slice of pizza as big as your face.
There is supposedly between a 70% and 100% chance of rain today. Right when we would be going back up the trail.
So if we abandon you, you're going to be completely soaking for at least 48 hours.
Please at least leave the little camera with me so that I can film it and it can be found.
And that's great, it'll be 60 frames a second so we can put it in slow motion and play it at your funeral too. Like you'll just be like crying in slow motion.
My last words will be cursing you, Aaron.
Taking Zach down the stretcher is going to be an easy job. We're going to have a fun time swimming. No one's going to get hurt. And then we're going to come back here and just relax.
So we headed to Jefferson National Forest for what was sure to be the most relaxing 2-mile hike through treacherous wilderness we'd ever experienced.
It's the least handicap accessible place, mainly because it's a waterfall in the woods. So I'm going to pretend to be an injured serviceman. Oh, jeez.
That's not so bad.
Are we sure that the chair won't go? Because if it's like this the whole way.
Don't think it is.
Oh, Jesus, that's scary.
Good. Baby steps down the hill. Baby steps. Big steps.
And as we soldiered on, the forest started to play tricks on us.
Calling me?
I don't think so.
Got a voicemail from Brett Anner.
Have we walked into a time paradox and he's trying to send messages back telling us not to go?
But I lost service, so I can't listen to it, so. Sorry, future Brett. Appreciate the warning.
How are we doing?
Okay, pretty rocky.
To be honest, I'm a little nervous. Never seen anything like this before. I've never been in the wilderness like this. I've never seen water rushing like this, and it's really incredible. It's because I have friends like these two that this is even possible. Now, they could still kill me by accident, but I'm really grateful that I would have friends that would even try.
Zach, I'm not vegan.
Alright, I thought that was coming.
Yeah.
Even though it was difficult, the views were beautiful, and we knew it couldn't get any tougher than this, until it did.
It did.
It was on a rock.
It was a good rip though.
Yeah, it's a really good rip. Someone's gotta go back.
Just have to hope that it keeps going.
Oh, jeez. It worked again.
Well,
We're so f***ing close.
How far can you go today? You on? Good. Alright, I'm good. Alright. You good?
So we left the stretcher for dead, and the only way I was gonna make it to the Cascades now was if I went full Yoda.
How was that like?
Things were really starting to take their toll on the guys. But at least we were close.
We only gone 1 mile. With the rain coming, I'm not sure we can get there and get back before the rain.
Sure we can. We don't even know if the rain's coming.
When you're surrounded by a bunch of trees like this, one of the trees is going to get the lightning and not you. It might fall on other trees, and then it becomes a domino effect, where all the trees in the forest fall down on you.
I'm not sure your assessment or Brad's assessment are entirely accurate.
We'd come so far, but had so much further to go, and we're completely exhausted. And we started to wonder, should we really be doing this? Seemed like we might never get there. Like we'd have to eat Josh and use the food he brought for shelter or something. But then, we saw it. The fucking Cascades! Yeah!
I've never gotten to do anything like this before. And there's probably a good reason for that. I wouldn't recommend anyone else with a physical disability try it unless you have equally crazy friends that will help you. Well, thanks, Aaron. Thank you, Aaron. See, I'm trying to be genuine. He's turning into just a regular dick and everything. He's exhausted for 2 seconds, then he turns it right back on. Making a memory and living one of the greatest experiences of your life. One of those days. And if we don't die on the way back, then that's even better. It's fucking cold in there too. This is fucking cold. Just trust me. Let's turn back. Let's turn back. Oh, it's looking at the waterfall. Oh, yeah. Oh, we go all the way back.
Zach lost a pinky toenail, but we won. And that's what's important.
I just have to say, sorry about all the swear words, guys. My grandpa's in the audience, and I know he's probably cringing. But that was a really important message to get across. You know, no matter what your physical ability or disability is, the most important thing is that you have friends who appreciate who you are and help you accomplish your goals and don't care about the rest. And you'll figure out a way to do it if you really want to do something. And in 2013, what I did after the show is I did something I thought I would never do. I moved to Los Angeles, and I thought I would hate LA because all I knew about LA was the traffic and the smog. And neither of those things I particularly liked. But what I wanted to do next is kind of surprising, but you know, having a disability, people have a lot of misconceptions about that. And one of the things that I've always appreciated is when people have questions about, you know, CP or anything else, I don't mind them asking as long as they come from an honest place, even if it's the most horribly worded question, like, what's wrong with you? So I thought, why not use my experience to sort of bridge a gap in something that I think people often have trouble talking about, which is religion. So for a company called Soul Pancake, it's Rainn Wilson's company. I don't know if any of you know who he is. He played Dwight on The Office. And Soul Pancake is a company that deals with trying to answer life's big questions, but in a fun way. So Have a Little Faith is my attempt to talk about religion in a fun way. I'm not religious at all. I'm kind of a religious idiot. But I thought, if we come and talk about this just openly and honestly and without judgment, what are the type of people that we're going to meet? And through that process, I've been able to interview Mormons, Muslims, Jews, Quakers, Baha'is, and a bunch of other religions that these were people that I never would have met had it not been for this show. So I want to show you the Man on the Street promo we did that sort of illustrates why I wanted to make a show about religion. Are you religious at all?
I was raised half Jewish and half nothing.
I was raised Catholic. I am at the age of reasoning and questioning right now.
So we're going to try and catch these little kids and ask them about faith.
I have a 12-year yoga practice, which is where my spirituality comes from.
Is there any yoga thing we can do right here, right now?
Did that feel good?
It was definitely louder than I expected. Let's play some word association. Breakfast.
Yes.
Dinner. Catholic Church.
Early morning push-ups.
How do you feel about the Catholic Church?
I feel like the new Pope is a great step in the right direction.
You follow the Pope on Twitter?
No, I don't follow it. He doesn't follow that.
How do you feel about atheists?
They have nobody to talk to when they're having sex.
What do you think the most common misconceptions about atheists?
People will think, oh, you're an atheist because you think you know it all, and you're not. Just keep an open mind.
If you were to ask an atheist one question, what would it be?
How are you doing?
What made you come to the conclusion that there was no God? Did Justin Bieber have anything to do with it?
Justin Bieber had everything to do with me becoming an atheist.
I thought so. How do you guys feel about religion? Fine. We're going to get them. If you could learn about one religion, what would it be?
I think I would want to learn a little bit more about Buddhism.
You know a lot about Buddhism?
No, actually, and I lived for years in the Buddhist temple and I have absolutely no idea.
Now, what do you know about Hinduism?
I know it's not God,
What is it? Like they believe in a lot of gods with a lot of arms.
but I know it's like some other dude.
And all their gods are having sex. That sounds rude now that it comes out of my mouth, but I think Hindus believe in a lot of sex gods.
What is the Hindu afterlife?
Do they believe in an afterlife?
I think they believe in reincarnation.
How do you not know this stuff? You're the host of the show.
I'm just learning. I'm just learning.
Can we get a host that like knows his stuff?
Who's that? I have important questions about life to ask you. You adorable children. You know what a Wiccan is?
I think I used to date one. I kept asking her what it was like to be a witch, and she never really told me.
Is it possible that she just wasn't one and you were just assuming things?
A Muslim, a Jew, a Mormon, a Baptist, a Baha'i, and a Quaker all sit down in a room. What's the first thing you think they talk about?
God.
Can I ask you a question? What's God like?
God made the world.
God made the world.
Oh, I feel like we're getting somewhere. If there was a show on the internet for free that explored different things and was awesome, would you watch it?
Yeah.
Because guess what? There is one.
Yeah.
Yeah. And you're on it now.
Watch out, little thing. Soul Pancake.
That kid knows what he's talking about.
SoulPancake, subscribe.
So, the reason that I wanted to make that show is to illustrate not our differences, but our similarities. And from that, I was able to interview Hasidic Jews that were great fathers, and Mormons that were still trying to figure out whether or not they wanted to get married, and we had a Hasidic Jew and a Muslim and a Quaker and a Baha'i in the same room, and they didn't argue. They played bongos and sang songs together. And to me, showing those similarities is one of the greatest things that I've been able to do in my career. And we're just wrapping up our second season now, and it's sort of a period of self-reflection for me, so I decided that I would write a book. And so right now I'm writing a book called If at Birth You Don't Succeed, and sort of well, to be honest, I kind of botched that whole birth thing. It's stories from my life with sort of reflection, what it's like growing up with CP. And I just want to have a really honest and humorous book. So this book is full of truth, and I'd like to read an excerpt from it about gym class. So, I was a born athlete. It was obvious just by looking at me that I was headed for Olympic gold. Compared to me, Tiger Woods is merely a mini golf master. Michael Jordan would have had better luck if he'd stayed in baseball. And Michael Phelps is like a Labrador retrieving tennis balls from a swamp. Or at least that was the lie my adaptive PE teacher, Colleen Fata, told herself about me. My inclusion in gym class in 4th grade required a ludicrous level of asinine accommodations. I had no depth perception because of a botched eye operation when I was a baby, so I didn't even know if a ball was being thrown to me until it hit me in the face. Yet at age 9, I had a voice that would make Minnie Mouse sound like Barry White, and I had dropped so many balls that if the two activities had correlated, I would have been able to convincingly perform Old Man River in some racially oblivious production of Showboat. I have never seen more dumbfounded looks than the ones on those of my gym teachers as they futilely tried to include me in the high jump. though the height at which I could leap out of my wheelchair was a towering 0 inches. As the rest of the children catapulted themselves over the bar and those that couldn't were eliminated, I was allowed to pass through every round, throwing up my fists into the air as though I was breaking tape at a marathon. When my classmates were required to run around the gym for the period, Mr. Markwood, our regular gym teacher, outfitted me with a whistle to blow at the end of every lap. Instead, I exploited this power by blowing the whistle whenever I wanted to. Sometimes I would purse my lips ever so softly, so that half the class would stop and half would stay in motion. This is what taught me the important life lesson that authority without the skill to back it up is just as much fun and much easier than earning your place in the world. However, if I was going to learn to do anything other than be a jerk, it was clear that I'd need some help. Believe it or not, even though I enjoyed being a jerk, I longed to play sports and compete just like everybody else. I just didn't want to make the necessary effort to do so. Halfway through the year, it was determined by my teacher and the man with the big whistle that I needed adaptive PE. This meant that one of my gym classes per week would be spent in an individual's setting, so that the shame of my wussiness could be scoffed at in private. I was told that we would work on things like shooting baskets, throwing footballs, and even walking, so that my legs wouldn't look like swizzle sticks. These are things I wanted to do in theory, but the idea of being separated from the rest of the class and having yet another woman to ride my ass was disheartening. I was already an outcast who was taken out of class for physical and occupational therapy throughout the day, and now I needed gym therapy? Next, they were going to tell me that my contribution to hot cross buns on recorder was not welcome, and that the green blobs I painted in art class were not trees. And who really decided that whistleblowing was not a sport? So when an energetic, petite, and perky strawberry blonde 30-something named Colleen Faddock came up to me dribbling one basketball with each hand and telling me I was going to learn to shoot baskets, I was suspicious, yet intrigued. She said, "Show me how you normally shoot." And I positioned myself at the 3-point line. She raised her eyebrows and said, "You sure you don't want to move a little closer?" "No, I got it," I insisted, as I lifted my arms over my head and hurled the ball at the basket. Looking up and listening for the swish, I jumped as the ball came crashing down on my feet. With all of my strength and determination at work, the only thing I'd managed to do with the basketball was injure myself and my pride. So nursing my ego and my toes, I took her advice and moved a little closer, and then a little closer still, until I was directly underneath the basket. I'm sure if she had been physically able to do so, she would have lifted me over her shoulders and had me place the ball in the net just to keep up morale. I mean, I knew I was disabled, but I honestly didn't know I'd be that terrible. I'd seen dogs play better basketball. So that story is an excerpt about how great I am at sports. You might think that there wasn't a lot to learn from that, but to be honest, when I moved out to LA, I was looking for what is the most unlikely thing for me to do next, and how can I inspire people in a humorous way. So I decided that I would be a fitness instructor, so that I can teach everybody at home how to have a great body like mine. And that's how I came up with the idea for Workout Wednesday. And I want to show an episode of that so you can see maybe how my humiliating experience in gym class played a part in this. So, hi, I'm Jack Taylor, and welcome to Workout Wednesday, the workout show that teaches Dude, get that, or else this is gonna take a long time. Eminem says that you only get one shot, but Eminem the Kid, he says, go ahead and eat me, because there's a lot more of me. You only get one shot if you only take one shot. Just think of the guys that invented basketball. Every basket they made was actually a net with a hole in the bottom. They looked at each other and said, you know what? Our baskets kind of suck. Maybe that could be a game. Oh, almost! I shouldn't be celebrating because I still miss. Sometimes your misses help you discover something new. Think about Kelly Clarkson. When she made From Justice to Kelly, nobody liked it. And then she bounced back from that and made 5 albums that are exactly the same. And everyone's like, alright, life is like flu season. You gotta take a shot every year, or else you'll get the flu. You think the flu cares that your record deal fell through? No. Flu only cares about one thing. Money. Why are these balls going in the thing? Go in the thing! Go in the hole! Yoda says there is no try. It's easy for him to say, the little lazy puppety bastard. Just go piggyback ride on Luke Skywalker the whole movie. Doesn't even bother to build a nice house in the swamp. That's how I listen to him. Push! Yeah! Did you hear it, Push? You might want nothing but net, but I want something in that net. Like a lobster, or some ruffians that I caught in a forest. Teach you to steal from the king? So you hit the rim. If life was a Tim Hortons, underneath that rim, there might be a car. So if you're losing your game of horse, change it to a game of horseradish. And if you lose your game of horseradish, change it to a game of horseradish dishwasher. So basketball might not be your game. But if it's true what they say, you might be able to make bacon out of this ball. It's a big thing. What is it? What's just leather? You might not be able to walk in Michael Jordan's shoes, because they're like $180. But you can at least make one great shot in your life. Just not that one. Everyone can make one great shot in their life. Ah, damn it! Screw you, ball! So hard at something. But thank you. But why I showed that is to illustrate something. Everything that you're going through in your life can be used as a tool for something else. Every struggle, every hardship is fuel for something greater. So if you're struggling, just think, maybe one day this will all make sense, and I'm here for a reason. And every single person out there is here for a reason, and I know that you guys can all figure that out. And I hope that when you leave here today, you might think of things a little differently. Like, what things are you horrible at that you're not using for good? Like, because that's basically what I've learned is everything that I am bad at, I can also use as a strength. So what I want to do, this past month, a month ago, I got my first video reached 1 million views, which is Workout Wednesday number 12. It was big for me. And I want to show that, and then maybe we'll open the floor to some questions. So you have like 4 minutes to think of brilliant questions. They can be really stupid too, I don't care. So let's just show the last video, and then we'll open the floor. Hi, I'm Jack Eater. Where the hell have I been? This is Workout Wednesday, the workout show that teaches you how to be patient when I don't make these for 3 months. I've made a lot of videos on YouTube, and this one is my 100th video. So to thank you, I wanted to talk about milestones. Give me a walk in the park, because we're in the park. Here's what you need. Workout headband, workout truck, workout shirt, workout shoes, workout socks, workout bounce house in the background, workout walker from when you were a small boy. Let's do this. I am the one who works out. So the first thing you want to do is get out of your wheelchair and into your walker. Now, if you don't have a walker, it probably means you can actually walk. So you're already ahead of the game. I haven't used this since I was about 10 years old. How the hell did I stand up for it? I'm gonna fall over. You just make sure that your Josh tape is nearby. Alright, so the next thing you need to do is make sure you have a pedometer to track your progress. But I don't have one of those fancy watches, so we're just gonna duct tape my smartphone to my chest so you guys can know that I'm not cheap. Yeah, I'm really going that fast. Just kind of Iron Man, Josh. Hey, please press the start button. What did you do?
I pressed the synchronize button.
I can't see.
Now we gotta sign in.
Oh no, where are you? No, don't go. Strike in the snow. Synchronize. I've never heard of that. Fred! Alright. Now we are off and moving. Milestones are important because they remind us that no matter how far we've come, we will never convert to the metric system. Kilometer stones just sound stupid, and nobody wants to sing, and I would walk 804.6 kilometers. You may not be able to right now where everybody is just taught in our society to be down on themselves and to look a certain way. And my thought was, why don't I just go out there and have that same confidence and when I'm obviously not the pin-up model or the person that would be on, you know, like Health and Fitness magazine, and just try and get people to start feeling good about themselves and say, you know, you're great just the way you are. If you want to work on something, we can work on something together and we'll get through it. But, you know, don't be down on yourself. And I thought it would be kind of cool for other people that, you know, have disabilities or are in chairs and stuff to see somebody actually pumping iron and just having a good attitude about it. Because I know it's hard to figure out how to kind of stay in shape when your primary thing is sitting. Because you don't burn a lot of calories that way. So I thought, let's just see what I can actually do and have fun with it. I'm sorry to make you guys walk around the whole auditorium. I didn't know it was going to be...
Hello. You're always mentioning Olive Garden. I was wondering if you get a kickback or something.
You would think, right? Like, I have mentioned Olive Garden in every single video I've made for the past 5 years. And I have, like, one of the biggest days for me is when Olive Garden followed me on Twitter. It's probably the only thing that will rival it is the birth of my first child. But I get absolutely no money from them, and I'm upset about it. Because I should be at least getting a lifetime supply of breadsticks right now. So, if anybody has the hookup with the Olive Garden corporate people, just speak to me after. How long did it to get to Virginia? Well, yeah. We went to Virginia. Let's see, we went to Virginia from Baltimore, so it took about 5 hours to drive there. But the whole trip itself, it was about six weeks of driving, and we drove over 6,500 miles, so it was a pretty long trip. But
it only took me a day.
It only took you a day? You're way better than me, dude. That's what's going on. Great job getting there in a day. We took our time.
Hi, my son Jesse has gotten enamored with making vlogs, and he was wondering if you could give him any advice.
Oh, vlogging. Like I do a couple vlogs, and you have no idea how weird it is to just be talking to a camera like it's a person. And I still have trouble doing it, but what I've learned is that you just have to treat the camera like it's your best friend, even though it's an inanimate object that's probably spying on you. And you have to kind of get in the mindset of, what would I be saying if my best friend was here and we were just hanging out? And have a lot of energy, because a lot of people watch vlogs on YouTube, and that connection that they make with vloggers is very real, and they feel like vloggers are their friends, and that's what I try and do. So basically, when you're making a vlog, you just go in front of your webcam or your little DSLR and you ramble for 10 minutes, and then you cut it down to 3. So it's basically like talking to your friends, but cutting out all the crap. Yeah, I can hear you.
What made you decide to get out your wheelchair and try to walk?
Well, I like to check in every now and then to see if I still have this. But, like, I think the thing for me was that I just wanted to see if I actually could do it, because I used to walk in a walker quite a bit when I was a little kid. And I also thought it would be kind of funny trying to see me walk a mile, because I had not walked more than 10 steps in probably a decade. So, like, just the idea of getting up and trying something that you hadn't done in a long time, just to see if you could do it. Because I think what you have to do in life is push yourself as much as you can. Even when you're uncomfortable doing something, that's when you learn the most, is when you do things that maybe you're a little bit scared of, that, you know, can move you further along. So, thank you for your question.
Hi. You have a wonderful attitude and outlook, and I was just wondering, who do you think is your biggest influence of that?
That's a great question. I think for me, my parents have always been a great influence because, you know, there wasn't much talk of, you know, like, how are we going to overcome this disability in my house, or how are we going to deal with this? It was just always making jokes about things. And, you know, my mom sort of prepared me in a really unconventional way to deal with, you know, haters, because haters gonna hate. And she said, if anybody comes up to you and says, you know, starts making fun of your disability or your wheelchair or anything, you just very simply tell that person to go to hell. Which is not like, you can get into trouble in school by saying that. I learned it pretty quickly. So if you're a kid, I wouldn't necessarily go with that route. But what I would say is you have to stand up for yourself, and only you know who you really are. And don't let anybody try and label you as something different just because they're going by what they see. So I think my family was a huge inspiration in teaching me to follow my passions.
Hi, Zach. I'm a big fan of yours. Ever since I saw the commercial and everything for Rollin with Zach, I thought it was a really great show.
Thank you.
Miss it, you know, and but when you wanted to go out and speak to everybody, have you had any fears of speaking in front of large crowds? And if you did, how did you overcome it?
When I decided that I was going to come and sort of spread my message around, I had sort of experience doing things like stand-up. And every time before you get out on stage, you kind of go through a checklist of what is the absolute worst thing that can happen. And for me, it's like every embarrassment that I've ever had, because I'm a comedian, is just potential material. So my advice to anybody that wants to do public speaking or anything like that is become very comfortable being in embarrassing situations and realize that no experience that you go through will be for nothing. Everything you could use. And that being said, I haven't fallen off any stages yet. But I mean, we could start. But I think the key is just going out there and realizing that an audience is just full of individual people who have been gracious enough to come and listen to your story. So, and they're rooting for you. I mean, there might be people throwing things at me in the back, but nothing has reached the stage so far. So I'm just taking it all as you guys are a wonderful audience.
Okay, last question. Over here to your right.
Was there a specific event in your life that made you want to do speaking and spread your message?
I think for me, this process of learning that I want to, share this with people it's been a lifelong thing, because for a while I was sort of running away from my disability, and it's been something where I said, okay, this has been a part of my life and an important driving force in what I've chosen to do. So I think if it was to boil down to one event, I think making that documentary Forgotten Lives was the first time that I thought, oh, well, maybe by getting my voice out there, it's something that people don't normally hear necessarily. It's just a funny guy who's just following his dreams, and I think that was it, because following your dreams is a universal thing. Everyone in this audience has dreams, and every single person in the world has dreams. And just because we have physical obstacles doesn't mean that following ours should be impossible, and it isn't. So just getting that message out there was really important. So, thank you guys so much, and I'll be around if you have any more questions or anything. I'll just be hanging out, and we can race because it's all with you. So thank you so much.
Thanks very much, Zach. That was awesome. I hope you guys all found that as amusing as I did. Let's give Zach one more round of applause. Thank you.